Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about 3 reasons your dismissive avoidant ex is interested in being friends. So, a lot of people ask me about this inside PDS, like on a very regular basis. What are the different dynamics? Why does this take place? Why is this person reaching out to me? And before I dive into this, I do want to say that it can depend on a variety of different factors. Like there's obviously going to be a slight difference if you're, in your early 20s and you've been dating for 6 weeks versus if you've been dating for 7 years, living together, have children together, and are perhaps in your late 30s. So these are important things to keep in mind. However, irrespective of those different dynamics and what stage the relationship is in as well. So were you in the power struggle stage when you broke up, or was the dating stage? What you will see still is that these 3 major patterns tend to show up the most in terms of what drives a dismissive avoidant to reach out after a relationship has ended. So number 1 is if this person is actually interested in trying to get back together. Dismissive avoidants are not the most likely attachment style to want to just have a friendship for the sake of having a friendship after a relationship. Usually after a breakup, they really want to close down, take a lot of space to really be able to have time to themselves, to focus on themselves, and to have that sort of space to heal and be independent. And they usually don't want to go back and move in the direction of somebody that they associate as having hurt them. And so it's very rare that dismissive avoidant will want to just have a friendship to sort of hang out once a month, touch base, see how you're doing, just be friendly. That's not really a territory that dismissive avoidant tends to be in. So a lot of the times, if I see a dismissive avoidant ex of somebody reaching back out again, the most common reason overall is that there is still some interest in trying to get back together. Now, oftentimes a dismissive avoidant is not communicating this directly. And so this can be problematic because it leaves the other person feeling confused, why are you reaching out? What's going on here? And the dismissive avoidant themselves often feels like it's obvious why they're reaching out, because we all tend to project from our perception. So we sort of expect other people to feel like we would feel and do as we would do in situations at a subconscious level without really consciously realizing. So in other words, often what we'll see is a dismissive avoidant, because they are reaching out post breakup, to them, they're like, oh, isn't it obvious that this is because I'm still interested in the connection? Why else would I reach out to you? Because I wouldn't want to just be friends with you for no reason. And so oftentimes they'll think they're being obvious just by their behaviors, though what's often happening is the person on the receiving end really needs to hear that positive reinforcement and that reassurance, no, I am still interested. Now, the other thing that often happens, and this is our number 2 thing here, is that they just regret breaking up and they're just looking for that connection from you. And they're like, let's not call it they're trying to get back together. Let's call it a variation of that as number 2, which is they're interested in seeing if something could still work, but they're still hesitant. And a lot of times we'll see dismissive avoidance in this dynamic sort of be in their feelings minus their fears. So if their feelings are really strong and their fears are more minimal, then they may sort of move in a positive direction. But if their feelings are strong, but their fears are huge, then you're going to see them sort of go through their own version of a push-pull dynamic, but not quite like the fearful avoidant where they're so there and so available and so interested and then pull so far back. More like they're just confused, and you'll see it and feel it in their behavior. They'll often kind of be open and connected, but not too much, and still with their walls up a little bit, and then only to go back into their shell further. It's almost like their pendulum is still swinging, but just to a lesser extreme than a fearful avoidant is, for example. So that's a really important dynamic to recognize. By the way, if you want to join, for January, February, March, PDS is doing, what we're doing is I'm doing a 5th webinar each week, and it's all about attachment style interaction. So we're doing all the different attachment styles in a relationship together, the needs, how to fix the relationship, communication, all the different patterns of 2 fearful avoidants in a relationship together, a DA with an FA, a DA with an AP with a DA, all those different major attachment style dynamics we're going to be covering. So if you want to join in there for those live course versions that we're doing once a week, please do. It's a really great time to go through all this kind of stuff in a tremendous amount of more detail. Anyways, so back to this. So we'll see those first 2 sort of variations, either trying to get back together or still open to get back together, regrets the breakup, wants to sort of feel it out. But oftentimes the dismissive avoidant is really in resistance at the same time. It's they're open and they're sort of being pulled in that direction, but their guard's kind of up and they're sort of testing to see do I want to move in this direction? Where am I actually at? I don't know what's happening. And they can kind of get in that very gray area. And the interesting thing too about dismissive avoidance is they can sit in that area longer because they get so many of their needs met from themselves. They don't feel as like tortured, so to speak, by being in the gray zone as other attachment styles do that just need that certainty, need to know what's going on. Is it working or is it not working? And so they can sit there for a long time, kind of like feeling out the situation and sort of assessing it, which can be harmful or really challenging for somebody else who doesn't have the same sort of bandwidth to be able to withstand that. So it's really important to just like organize healthy communication, to bring stuff up, to ask for transparency if you find yourself in this stage at all. And number three, this is usually something we'll see more in an earlier stage of dating, like dating or honeymoon stage. And then there's a breakup and now this person's your ex and they're kind of reaching out. Sometimes it can be to just get their need met for like attention or significance or positive reinforcement. Sometimes the DA just like wants to see that you still care and you would still want to be there. But we won't see that as much like later down the line. We'll see that a lot more so in the dating and honeymoon stage breakups that take place. And then this person sort of reaches out soon after that. And again, it's usually just for like some kind of positive reinforcement, that sort of thing. What you will see when you're looking for that, the sort of distinguishing factor there is that the dismissive avoidant will reach out, you'll get back to them, and they won't really carry on the conversation. It'll be like, hey, how are you? And then you respond, and then they don't really respond again. And then maybe a couple of weeks later, they do the same thing, don't respond again. Usually that's the person just kind of like feeling out the situation, getting some kind of need met without wanting to invest in the relationship in any way back. So there won't be a continuation there. And obviously, if anybody's doing that, of any attachment style, that's a really good time to just sort of have a boundary and do the work to take a step back as well, because usually that's just going to create kind of like a scab being like pulled off, and then it hurts, and then it has to heal again, and then the scab gets pulled off again, and then it hurts and has to heal again. It can sort of leave this like open wound. So it's a really important time to just have a boundary around that as a whole. So hopefully this all makes sense. One other last thing I want to mention is there can be a slight difference if you've been friends for a long time before the relationship started. So maybe you were friends with somebody for 5 years, then all of a sudden it turned into a relationship, then there was a breakup. That can change some of these things a little bit, where in that very particular case, sometimes DA can just want to maintain a friendship or try to figure out a way to get back to the friendship once again. So hopefully this all makes a whole lot of sense. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. If you want to join and go through all of our attachment style interaction courses live with our slides and all that kind of stuff throughout January, February, March, please do. You can click the link in the description box below. And thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.